Right, here we go. We are now live. Hello everyone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to convert a standard headlight to take a 6-volt battery. I'll show you to try and do a step-by-step process through it. And what you're going to need is DC to DC direct current. I'll try and tune it in for you so it's a bit clearer. Turn on camera. Oh, what ain't the camera on? Bring them on camera. Bring them on camera. Oh, bring them on camera. Oh, Liam. You can see it, can't you? Right, so if I do that, alright. This is your little butt controller you need. And this is an XL4015. It's a 5 amp DC to DC step down. This is the one you'll need to convert your headlight to take 6-volt batteries. Right. Also is handy is a curly cable, which I've got Chris with me who's bought a curly cable that's thick enough to wire my house up. So I'm going to show you using this today. All right. So where your battery compartment is. Hope that's for me. That's for no one, trust me. No, this one's for me. Once you take your batteries out, I'll try and do it step by step. If you've got any questions, Chris will answer them for you. Now inside there, you've got 4 little screws that you'll have to undo to access the module that you want to be able to get your live and earth, and also to poke your cable through it. Alright, here goes. Right, here's one I took apart earlier, and I've exposed my module, which is actually inside there. This is a switch control module, which actually gives you 1 setting, 2 setting, and your flash. Now what you have to do is you'll notice that I've put a brown wire on already. I'm trying to zoom it in for you so you can see it quite clear, because that's your live in, and your blue one on the bottom left is your earth in, out, sorry. I'm trying to zoom it in to try and get it so it's clearer for you. Right, so that's the inside of your battery casing once you're taking your 4 screws out. And then like I say, you'll see that you've got your brown cable already in there, but you'll notice actually on the green board it will say a live and a new negative, which is down there, and for some unknown reason it won't go quite clear on it. Right, your next part is you'll notice that you used to have a charger point from the bottom of your light where you've got your 2 holes, where one's for your little rubber, which I'll take that out. So now you've got your 2 little holes. Now one of them's got a charger point on that. Now the charger point is connected to your board. So all you have to do is clearly just pull that off. Once you've pulled that off, you're able to get your curly lead and poke it through your hole. Poke it through your hole like that, so then you've got quite a bit in there. I'm speaking like Steve now. You know, don't you? Hey? Start sounding like Steve. You're not going to answer none of these questions, no?
I've got
right, it's hard work for me to scroll through this because I've got another person here. Yeah, Liam, we've got a butt controller.
Yeah, that's
I've got someone else here, but he seems more interested in his beer.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, I've got my multimeter. Now the reason I showed you that brown and blue cable is whilst that's like that, I've now got them pointing through the battery casing. Yeah? So what I'm actually able to do now is I can rebuild my battery casing. Because I don't need it apart no more. Because I've got all my cables through, up and done. So right, and I'm going to put my 4 screws back in. It may seem like I'm doing it quick for you, because obviously I've done a number of these, so it's quite easy for me to do. But we'll try and get Chris doing one of these, and it'll be about 3 hours, and I ain't got that much data. Shake not shitting dog. There you go. I've now put my battery casing back on, so everything's all back to in place. And I've now got my cable poking out, and all my cables inside, and it's all ready to go. Evening everyone, sorry I can't comment. Well, Chris is meant to be doing all this.
Yeah, that's what I could do if you want me to.
I ain't making no more. Right, so that's what you see, because obviously I've done the brown cable prior and the blue cable, okay? So right, what we'll do now is you take your little butt controller that I showed you earlier. I'm going to take this, and you'll see written on there, on this side, if it can zoom in, seems to be, these cameras are rubbish. Well anyway, you'll notice when you get your butt controller, it's like Blue Peter this, that there's in and out. In is going to be for your feed from your battery, and out is going to be to your light. It's not that I'm trying to say that everyone's dumb or anything like that. In some cases it's self-explanatory, but some people might not get it. So now obviously taking your little soldering gun, have a little bit of fun. Don't burn your hands. See, I'm quick at this. Oh, come on. I said I'm quick at this. It seems I'm quite slow at this at the minute. I think it's all the nerves, you see. All the being live nerves. Alright. Now another thing I will tell you what's self-explanatory is the curly cables that I use. They've already got a red and white cable inside. So obviously what you can do is use your red as your live and your white as neutral. And that way you shan't go far wrong, because I'm going to show you an attachment what I use to put it on my battery as well. So once it's all attached, I can just clip them together. What you do is put a bit of solder on the cable first before you hit it. I mean, I'm not trying to tell people how to suck eggs. There is other ways of being able to do this. I'm not saying I'm any professional in any such way. But this is something I've done as a hobby. Something you spent so much time trying to perfect. Because there's nothing worse than when you're fishing and the battery goes flat on you. Right, is it one there, okay? Right. Now you can prejudge me on my soldering, prejudge me on whatever you like. This gets hidden away so you won't see it no more. Right, so there's my butt controller, which is now attached to my curly cable, which is going to be inside my battery housing. What you now need to do is do not connect the light until you've set your adjustment on your butt controller, because otherwise you'll blow the LED as quick as you like. So right, I've plugged it into my battery. You can now see I've got my little light on my butt controller. It's come on. Now I don't know whether I can zoom this in because I want to be able to show it on a voltage meter. I've got my voltage meter. Can you see the voltage meter on there? Let's bring it down, bring it up, bring it down. There we go. Right, there's your voltage meter. Just a standard cheap voltage meter. Get it from anywhere. Standard and cheap. Now what I'm going to do is put my live and earth on my meter, and you'll see at present I've got 5.8 volts, which is running direct from that butt controller. So now this is an adjustable controller. So what I'm actually able to do is there's a little screw on top of the blue unit. Now I'll turn the screw.
They can't see that.
No, that's alright, I'll show them in a minute. Turn the screw, I'm turning it anti-clockwise, and as you can see the voltage is slowly stepping down. I'm doing it so they can see that, can't they?
Yeah, I can see the multimeter.
Right, so at the moment we're at 4.6. Now what we want to run it at, you can run it anywhere between 3.5, 3.6, but I tend to run mine at 3.7. There we go, we're at 3.7. Now on that butt controller, I was turning that little brass screw that you see there, and I was turning him anti-clockwise, which brought me down to the 3.7 volts I'll need to now be able to control my LED within my headlight. I've turned it off and I'm connecting it again. And there we go, we're still sitting at 3.7 volts after I've turned it. Right, that's that part. Now I'll disconnect that again from my battery. And what I can now proceed to do is wire the LED on. So don't forget, your brown, whichever colour you want, will go to plus. I know I might seem to be rushing it through, but if you've got any questions, any problems for wanting to make your own, they're easy enough to do. Anybody is able to do anything if you put your mind to it. It's not hard to do. The main part was working out how to get the controller to run a 6 volt, because a lot of the times they kept getting hot, and whilst they were proceeding to get hot, I'll zoom it back out again. Oh, down in, look, there you go, back out. Okay, alright, where's my scissors?
One small question.
Here you go. Oh, here we go. Look, see here, look. You got it.
How do you decipher the difference between the in and out on one side of the circuit board and the other side of the circuit board?
Right, what you'll see is on your circuit board, I'll try to zoom it in on this, but you hold one.
Yeah.
And I've got one here for the viewers, look. Now I'm trying to get this to zoom in onto this. I am finding it quite tricky to get it to zoom in. Maybe because there's too much stuff going on around in the background. If I'd done that, look.
Yeah, it's struggling.
Yeah, see, I do apologise for this. But you'll notice on there, it says in, plus, in, minus, plus, minus.
Oh, right, in and out.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah. Got ya.
Anyway, so we've had the first dumb question. Anyone else? No, it's honestly, it's perfectly normal. That is what you've got to do though. You'll have a...
So
Normally on the in, and the out.
Your power will come on in the in, and
Yep.
on the way out it will go to your LED.
Yeah, we'll go to the LED, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yep, so your in will be your in for your battery, your out will be your power to your LED. So all I'm doing now is I'm going to put a bit of solder on the cables, what I've got here, and it makes it quicker to solder straight to a board, because you don't want to heat the board up too much. You want to try and keep it quite cool. Now what we're going to do with this video is this one will go on to, hopefully Minty will put it onto the YouTube channel. Right, so now you've got some solder onto there. Your earth, or your neutral, minus, call it what you like, will always go the opposite end of the other one in the same place. It doesn't cross over within the board. So if you've got minus on the bottom, the minus on the way out will be on the bottom as well. So they'll both be the same. Right. Like I say, once you've got all your parts and everything, all I'm doing at the moment is just soldering the light to the board. That's all I'm doing at the moment. Yep, so you're not missing a lot. Not at the moment. A bit of it's the only thing when you get dirty soldering gun, you don't like to heat the solder. But I ain't doing this in breach of anyone or anything. I'm just showing you what I've done and what I've used over a number of years. Because I've had my light now for about 5 years and I've never had a problem with it. Right, there we go. I've now connected it to the light. And what you're actually able to do now is your little controller. Pull some cable through from your curly cable, and then that sits inside your battery box. Now what you can do if you like is just put a bit of hot melt glue underneath it, and that will hold it in there. And also put hot melt glue around the hole where you've poked the cable, your curly cable through, just to give it that added bit of extra waterproofing. Because once I put the cover on, you can't even notice that I've actually done anything to it. As you cover back on, nothing protrudes out from that, nothing will hurt your head, and you've got no problems. Right, and I'll plug it on and we'll see what we've got. And if it don't work, this is Blue Peter. Ah, look at that, what have I done? Oh, I've got my 3.7. Oh, look, I ain't put a blue wire on probably. You tit. Trying to rush it for the viewers and I. Come on, Blue Peter had problems. Where is my soldering wire? Keep putting things down. So now when your partner says it's on the side. Us men always turn around and say, what on the side? Well, I'm hoping that this is informative enough for you, because if it ain't, then I ain't done very well. I know, man, it seems like a rush, and I think I'm a bit nervous actually about doing this. Although Chris ain't helped me out on speaking to anyone, he's just staring at it. At present, anyway.
Pretending not to be here at the moment.
Yeah, no one want to be here, do they? No one wants to be and help me now. I seem to have to be on my own. I'm a Jonah, see? Just want to check to make sure they ain't come off the back of that box when I put it down. Because obviously this one, what I'm converting now, is my one. But shortly, unfortunately, we've got to do one for Chris. Which is a bit unfortunate. Because I'm not really looking forward to the thought of that. Yeah. Well, what you'll have to be is you'll have to be delicate on some of these wires. That one ain't got screws on that one.
You what?
Ain't got screws on it.
No way.
And the A way.
No way.
This one,
isn't it? My one, surely. You had the same as me before, didn't you?
Yeah, you got 4 screws in it.
They must just pop out then.
What?
Oh, is it glued in?
Well, I'm not being rude or anything, I'm just sorting something out. Chris is trying to unwire his now so we can find out how his all goes back together.
It all just unclips.
Hey?
It unclips.
Yeah, don't break it. I think Chris is being a bit barbaric here at the minute. Right. Yellow, red, white. Right, bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly unsolder this. I knew I should have done it. Here's one I prepared earlier. Broke all the leads out of the thing, didn't I? It's only thin. Alright, so I've got that and that. Wish my gun would heat up quicker. The gun wants to be on a go slow.
Looks a bit dirty.
What's that?
The gun.
Yeah, I know. Bit like everything in his house.
Well, that's a little bit of a bugger.
What's that?
Trying to get this back, this bit out.
Well, Chris is having a bit of a nightmare. He's doing the easiest of chores I asked him to do.
Yeah.
So he's going to break
Can't
that.
get staff these days, can you?
Yeah, we're not ignoring you. Chris is going to answer all your questions in a minute. So for this, I do apologise because obviously I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing. And at the moment, Chris ain't. Chris ain't got to do nothing. And because I've got a dirty nozzle on my gun, it seems to want to take forever to heat it up. So I'm not being rude and I'm not being anything. I'm not trying to be. Oh, for... I'm going to stick on that board. Because these are only Chinese lights, it seems the solder on the board don't like being reheated. Cheap crap.
Are they?
Don't want to hold solder. I'll give a big cheer. Chris has finally done it. Right, can you answer any questions on there, buddy?
Simon, if you've got a spare min, need to ask you something about an idea I tried to get made. That was from Gary Ebro Sheridan.
Yeah.
There's not really been many questions, it's just mostly been, where's the tea bags?
Oh, where's it? I've got a cup of tea here, look. Chris ain't looking after me properly, trust me. I had to make my own tea before I started. I'm having to do everything myself. Heard the expression, have a dog and bark yourself, like, you know. Oh, I tell you, I hate the smell of plastic when it burns. I'm just trying to get my wires back in my hole. Right, we're on it now. Right, what I've quickly done is all the cables seem to want to jump out that last one. Don't know why. I don't know how. But they did. Well, normally when I'm at pace on my own, I can do this as quick as you like.
My fault as usual.
But as I've got a captive audience, you know, makes you a bit nervous. Well, it does me anyway. I am nervous, don't know why. Now, I've done a live stream before, but never actually one where someone's watching me. Or actually watching me doing something.
We get circuit boards from either eBay or from Amazon. I got mine from Amazon. They're about £3.50 each, something like that.
And they're called the XL4015 5 amp.
I asked Simon and he sent me a link.
The reason I use the 5 amp, the LED, which is what you're using inside most of these headlights, what you'll buy, whether it be from China or a whole load of them, is the XML T6, which is the standard highest rate one they've got at the moment, which comes from the Cree family. Now what I'm known to these to do is they'll run at 1000 lumens at 3.7 volts at 3 amps. I know that might be a hell of a technical to some people, it may not be to others, but that's how these ones run. And I'll get a 5 amp one because I know with the amp hours what I'm going to put through it, my butt controller won't get hot, so you'll never have a problem with anything getting warm on your head or anything burning out because you're overpowering it. And honestly, it's totally fine. But the main one is I prefer to use a curly cable instead of the standard cable. Because that way you know, because I'm using this as my headlight, and this is what I'll be using at Porlock next Friday. I know that I can never put too much stretch in this to actually break the cable. Yeah, because that's one thing I wouldn't want to do, and that's breaking cables. Especially even more so while I'm fishing out on a fishing session, and there's nothing I can do. I've got a dirty soldering gun at the minute, so it's taken me a while just to solder these up. So it's not that I'm actually being rude or anything. But you gotta understand, doing things like this, well for me anyway, especially live, is nerve-wracking. I never liked doing anything at school. Chris was meant to be answering or asking the questions I was going to answer. But he seems he's intrigued on what's going on.
Yeah, sorry if I'm a bit vague.
Now I can see I won't be using him for my live stream videos, what we do. Do you know, I've done this earlier. I must have done it in about 20 minutes. It's because I've been doing it huge lots tonight. It's taken me forever. There might actually be some electricians out there that may condone what I'm doing or condemn how I'm doing something. But this is my way and this is how I've always done it. I've never had a problem. Obviously the way they say it is each to their own technically. I've always used a battery powered light when fishing. Now when I used to fish Frinton Wool, we used to walk all the way along there with a car battery. And I'm sure I won't be the only one who's done that. Taking car batteries out fishing with you. Yeah, so I used to have a car spotlight. And even done work on them to convert them. I had a spotlight and I converted it so it takes a standard indicator bulb. So instead of being the 55 watt, I converted it down to a 22 watt, and I guaranteed it lasts me all night.
So are these what you use on your stand so you can see the tips better?
I'm going to show you in just a minute.
I think what we're making now is just for a head torch, and then maybe Simon's going to do a conversion for a tripod.
Yeah, well I was going to, but Chris seems to have the wrong parts at present.
Yeah, sorry about
that. The idea was, Chris, I've got all my rods and lights and stuff set up. But the idea was we was doing all this for Chris. But I think Chris got the wrong idea when I said I need a curly cable. So he's got one thick enough to wire me house. That's the mess of the curly cable what I've got. What the fuck is going on there then? Oh, that wire keeps coming off of that board, look.
Yeah, mine's come off the back of my one on this one as well.
See, these are only Chinese thin wires.
Yeah.
Right. No, that one keeps popping off. I'll get that solder back on. You did say we had light. So all I can say is, I can apologise why this has taken so long. Because I'm telling you now, it never took this long earlier. I even said to my partner, cool, I've done that quite quick.
Always chop it up though later, can't we, and put it into a YouTube video.
I don't know how you do it. I honestly don't know how you do it, and I think Minnie's going to take all control of that.
I think YouTube has their own sort of app that you can use.
Mate, you're asking me some things now, aren't you? I only know how to spell it in the old thingy, in the old search bar.
I'll give it a bash if you want me to.
Well, I know Minnie's doing a channel.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Right, I'm rebuilding it now. Finally everyone turns around and says, only 25 minutes later and he's been as rude as you like.
Richard said he'll put it on. Good man, Richard.
What? Yeah, I know, that's what I said. I said Minnie might do it.
Yeah,
He's the one who's all in control of that at the minute. Right, there you go. Mate, I was a man on my own little self. Right, some butt controllers, I do apologise it's taking so long. Some butt controllers have got a nice little green light or a little blue light, look. Quite posh if you ask me, but I don't know why they're on it. Right, now I'll put the battery cover back on. Now I'll turn it on. Right, sorry people. Right, so there you go. Headlight, battery box, curly cable coming out of battery box. Just needs a twist on it. One more twist. There you go. Cable coming out of battery box, running down to the 6-volt battery, and that's all done and dusted. I've got a nice pinpoint light now. There we go. You still take car batteries, do you? Yeah, I can remember carrying one down Frinton Wall. Right, so that's all my light converted over. Got no problems at all. You still even got the little red light on the back of it. What I tend to do is actually where the LED is inside that, I normally unsolder it and take it off. But I don't know why I want a red light on the back of my head unless I want someone to be able to hit me on the back of the head with a lump of wood or something. But there we go.
Got to have a target, haven't we?
Well, yeah, you know, don't you? So I get Dave to wear one. Right. Now what I use...
Battery. Sorry.
What battery is a 6-volt? What I use for my headlights is I use a 6... where's your 6-volt battery
There's
there?
one in there. There's one, and that's
For my actual headlight, I use a 6-volt, 7.2 amp hour. Because the ones you get inside them, they'll give you a couple of hours. Whereas I know with this on and off, it will last me for 2 sessions easily. I know the battery looks quite big, but if you've got a 2-piece suit and you're using a bib and brace, once you've slid this inside your pocket, you can't even feel it's there. Now what I do is for my headlight, for my torch battery, for my rod stand, I use a 6-volt 12 amp hour one. And the reason I'll use that is because obviously my rod light one is on more continuous than the 7.5 amp hour one. You can use a 4.5 amp hour battery. You can use any size battery you like. Anything, well, don't go anything under a 4.5. But the 12 amp hour battery should give you between 16 and 20 hours of continuous use. Because obviously your rod light is on more continuous. than what your rod light is, the headlight. Another reason for having a 6.2, like I say, I know it's big, but if my rod light ever starts to go flat, I know that I can use this one, or change that, for me rod, change that one, for me rod stand, and then I'll have a little spare little headlight with me. So I know that this will carry on doing my session. So I'll easily get a good 2 sessions out of that. What I also tend to try and do is with your battery charger. Now I know you can get little battery chargers, you can get all sorts of other battery charger. But I like to get a standard 6-volt one, which is then continuous for 6-volt. And this one will do 3 stages. You can get these off of eBay. I think they're only about 14 quid. I mean, don't get me wrong, this one was more expensive. But they do 3 stages. So you know that you can never overcharge your battery and you'll never have to worry about it. Now when it comes to your rod light, your rod stand light. Now I won't be able to show you how it's been converted. But what some people do is you've got this rod light for your normal standard headlight, yeah, and what people or some people do, or I mean I don't do it myself personally, because I like to do away with all this, because otherwise it's more crap you've got to carry around. What you'll do is you'll disconnect, take all your head straps off. As I say, I don't tend to do it this way myself personally. But this is an easier option for people that want to be able to do it themselves. Now you take all your headband off. Undo your little screw from your headlight to get it from the plastic base. Just taking it off the plastic base. Right, now it's off the plastic base. You're basically left with that. Your little headlight and your little battery pack. That's your standard 3.7 batteries that you put inside there. Yeah? Now what you need to do is, it'll all depend on what rod stand you've got. But you need to make a bracket up. Now you can make one quite simply, you can make it as complex or complicated as you like. But what I tend to do is I use 2 of these little angle brackets. Where's my other end? Oh, yeah, there. Trying to find my other end. I use 2 of these little angle brackets, and you'll put them angle brackets together to create the shape of a U. Yeah? And what you'll also do is you can get yourself another bigger angle bracket. Oh, there's my hand, look. Yeah? And you bolt that to the bottom of your U. Yeah, so they'll all be bolted together. Yeah, so that'll be the technical shape that you'll have. Yeah, and then obviously once you undo the little nut on your rod stand, you'll screw this on, do your rod stand up, and then you've got your light on there. But what I'll do is I'll show you one that I've actually done, which is here. Now it's fully complete. And what you'll do is you get your little rod light, your little headlight, sorry. Line the holes up. Right, just screwing it back together. So now I've got it attached to my headlight. Here you can see your angle bracket, and that will now adjust up and down. Yeah, so I can face it upwards, downwards. What I tend to do is I sometimes like my eyes pointing downwards. So what you can do is put it on your rod rest upside down like that. So then you'll twist it and it will come up towards your rods. See? That comes up. Yeah, some of the 4 amp hour ones will last long, but because the this sort of state of the art LED, because they draw quite hard and quite powerful, they suck the death out of them. So you'll find a bigger battery will obviously give you a longer life. And with sessions these days, we seem to tend to last a couple of nights. Right. Now what I've just shown you how to basically convert one over for a rod stand if you want to. But my one I've done a bit complex. I've taken them 2 side lights off of the side. Okay, it's only a little bit of sellotape on there. The button on the top is redundant because, as you'll notice, my curly cable goes direct inside the LED. So it's wired direct to that LED inside there. And then that will come all the way down. And the butt controllers that I showed you earlier is in a little box contained at the end of my curly cable. Now what I've done is I've encased that with hot melt glue, which this has been underwater twice now and it's still working perfectly fine. Don't have no problems with it or anything, and it all seems to work. Right, what you might notice is the little plugs I use on the end to connect everything together. Now, I know that one might seem a bit dirty, I ain't cleaned it of late. But all these little plugs, now anyone who's got a remote control car will know that these are the ones that are used for the 7.2 volt batteries they've got, and they're using them. So what I do is my 7.2 volt battery on top, I've sellotaped all the way around it, and I've just got a little plug hanging on it out at the top. So then all I do is when I come up to this, oh, it's quite hard to see while I'm looking at doing it in the camera. Plug it together, and as you'll notice, the light comes straight on, and this is now my rod light. See, it comes straight on, not a problem at all. As soon as I plug that on, because I don't need the controller for the headlight, I don't need to turn this up and down, I just want it continually on, and that does me perfectly fine. Like I say, most of the time I'll set it upside down on my rods and then face it upwards. Like I say, you can point it to the top of your rod stand and drag it upwards, so then it will go up to your rods. Well, like I say, when you've got it turned down, so you can lift it up. But there you go, no problems at all, and that will work fine. And then as soon as I unplug that, gone. But like I say, these are remote control car battery charger points that I actually use. I'll actually use that on even my headlight. So if we get any problems, I can plug this into any one of my batteries. I've also got one on my charger, so I can plug that in to charge any battery up at any time. Not a problem at all. Like I say, these are the ones that are used for remote control cars. And like I say, that's a good connection. Never had a problem yet. No, I've never had a problem yet. See if I can come up to my battery charger, plug it in, turn it on, plug it into my battery, and I'm done. And I'm now charging that up. I've got no problems at all. Now, if there's any questions, you can rather ask on the video, or send me a PM if anything, and I'll help you out if I possibly can. So obviously the group's all about helping people out if we can. Sorry, it seems to seemed a bit long-winded, but when you get problems, this ain't Blue Peter. But like I say, I'm now got my headlight, and I'm now still all done. I've got the same light, same one I converted, live in front of you, and I'll be using this one at Porlock on Friday. How much do you guys make one of them? The problem with it is, Nick, I mean, I can totally understand that, you know, there has been some for sale, and you know, you can do them as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. The problem with it is with myself, because I've spent, well, I won't know how many LEDs I've actually blown up while testing stuff. But to me, if you look at, say, the price of a 7 amp hour battery, the size battery I use for my headlight, because obviously I know that this give me 2, maybe 3 sessions for just my headlight, because that ain't always on. I mean, you can talk between 12 and 15 quid for that. I mean, a charger, depending on what sort of charge you want. I mean, this one cost me 40 quid originally when I bought it, because this was one for the Tiger lights, and that cost me 40. I think they're still 36 quid now. But you can get one of them from eBay, a different one, which will cost you 15 quid. Then you've got your price of your headlight. Then you've got your curly cable. And then you've got your butt controller. So it does start to add up. But if you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't work out expensive. It works out sort of cheap for me.
I think it works out about 40 quid for me.
Did it?
If I include the head torch I bought, it's about 20 quid. The butt controller, that's £3.50. And then the battery, of course, about 15 to 17 pounds, depending on what one you buy. And then the cable is pretty cheap if you don't buy a massive overly gauged one like I have.
But I mean, I could make one for you. It's no problem at all. But like I say, they are expensive. But I can say now that I've been using mine for 5, nearly 6 years and not had one problem at all. The batteries fell over and been in the sea because I've been covered with waves twice. It's wondering a sign of laughter coming out from the building. But like I say, they are easy enough to do. That's why I thought I'd do this video. I tried to give it as instructional as I could, to try and keep it as informative as I could. But obviously if I've missed anything, you can purely ask. I mean, I'll help you out. It's not a problem. Yeah, I can understand that, Stuart. Yeah, some people will take 2. But see, like I was saying just a minute ago, we go for like, sort of the whole weekend. And we want it to be able to last, because I'm coming up from Colchester going to Porlock next Friday. So I want it to last the whole weekend and guarantee that I know that I'm going to get that use out of it. I'm not going to have no failures. Whereas I've used this for 2.5 nights on Chesil and not had a problem at all. I've never had a power drain or anything. But like I say, you can do it as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. You know,
one thing that I find disconcerting about using these LED lights with the 18650s is they're right at the back of your head, and if you have a dodgy one, and if that goes wrong, that's what I'm kind of worried about. So that's why I'm changing mine to a 6V, and of course it's going to last me a lot longer. I'm going to be able to fish all weekend without having to change any batteries. All I have to do is carry one 6V battery in my pocket, and that's it.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're getting from these, do you? Because that's the standard battery that you get inside them. Rich, you can watch it from the start. It will be saved on the site. But also, we've got a YouTube channel that's coming up, mate. And it will be put onto there. I mean, if it ain't informative enough, what I'll have to do is redo it and showing people how to do it. But like I say, that could be your rod light. Whereas obviously your butt controller will be inside your little box. And your curly cable comes out of that. And it all sits nice and neatly on your rod rest. Now, I ain't going to be a demo and set the rods up in the garden, because otherwise the neighbours will think I'm nuts. But if you've watched any of, well, you've watched a number of people's live streams where you've seen the light actually coming out. You've seen what the rods light up like at night. Like I say, that's the butt controller inside there for me headlight for me rod. And that's my rod light. Like I say, I've spent hours wanting to do things like this, but it's just more messing about, really. It's more tinkering about. Like I say, sometimes cost doesn't matter. Like I say, I know they're going to last, so cost means nothing, really.
So how long would you say that the 6-volt batteries would last for?
What, this one?
Yes.
This one will do you 3 sessions.
But
That's
I
a
mean,
7.2.
what I mean is, how long would they last for before you would have to throw them away?
You can continue to keep charging them up.
And they won't ever die?
No.
Okay.
No, I've had my battery, I've had one of my batteries 7 years.
7 years?
And it's still
Pretty
going.
good going.
It's still going.
That's really
Because
good.
you come home, as soon as you come home from a fishing session, I'm plugging it straight on.
Yep.
And as soon as I plug it straight on, I know it's going to build it back up.
Yep. That's alright.
I mean, these are the lead acid batteries, but you can get the gel type ones, which can take a longer drain on them,
Oh, right, okay.
so you can suck more power out of them.
Ah,
Yeah, and they can recover better.
fantastic.
But you only use a certain percent out of a battery. Oh yes, it still works. Look, Blue Peter. See, I'm still doing it. It's still working. Look, still plugged in. And there we go. There we go. We're still working. Look, still up and working. Right, is there any questions before I need to go? Because now I've got to try and put some barbaric stretchy cable into the tiniest hole that I'm ever going to get into. I've got to, look, the size of this cable that I've got to try and put in. Like I say, the curly cable that I actually use, it's a 12-volt extension lead, what you use for the cigarette lighters. And it's nice and flexible, it's lovely, you can't even feel it going up your back. Yep, don't even feel it going up your back. And like I say, if you've got your bib and brace on, with your 7.2 amp hour battery, you cannot feel it's actually in your pocket. And you know you're going to be safe to leave your light on. Well, that'll last on there for 16 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours on a standard headlight, because you've got control over how much power you're using. Because you've got the high setting, low setting and every setting like that. Right. Yeah, there's a mess in my kitchen now. My kitchen side with all these batteries and everything going around it. Because now I've got to try and do 3 batteries with their clips. Like I say, we use the clips what you use for the remote control cars. There is other clips on the market which work just perfectly fine, not a problem at all. But I've always tended to use these. I don't know why, it's just, you know, personal preference really. But there's numbers of them out there. And like I say, once these are clipped together, I've actually had my battery holding on there. Like I say, once these are clipped together, they don't come apart, not a problem at all. None of your wires will pull out of there, because what I'll do is with the clips, I'll actually solder them onto there. Give them a gentle bit of solder, so I know they're guaranteed won't come out of there then, see. So everything's all happy days. I do apologise that it took a while. What it was is when I was doing the headlight, when I twisted that, I pulled one of the cables off, so I had to solder it back on. Because I had a dirty nozzle in my gun, it weren't moulded the solder properly. I was meant to give it a little bit of sandpaper really, just to clean it right off. No, Nick, that's the curly cable. Well, the only place I've found them on eBay. As I say, they're called a 12-volt, 9-foot curly cable. And like I say, they are lovely. And the reason why I do actually like these is because you notice there's 2 wires there, and they are quite nice and thick. So I know that they won't see. They'll never pull out of my box. And I won't never pull out of my LED, you know, so everything's all set up nicely. So I know that I'm guaranteed I can chuck this about in my box. Like I say, the plug's been under water twice. I've never had a problem with it, and it still works. Right, so I hope I ain't bored you that much. But that's roughly how I use it and how I go about it. Like I say, I apologise if it's gone on a bit. But like I say, I know what you're saying, Sturt, about taking 2 lights, and yeah, totally understand that, mate. A lot of people do. but because we've had powers go down, because obviously you might have had to light on a little bit longer than you need to, that's the risk, run the gauntlet like that. But I always like to light my rods up so I can see them. Right, so I'm trying to have a little scroll through. But yeah, like I say, I got splashed a couple of times. Kevin, I know you say that you got a light that's 2000 lumens, but what I'll explain to you now is you'll notice that the Cree LED, which is actually inside them, is an XML T6. Now I've read up all the instructions about them, and they reckon they'll only go 3.7 volts at 3 amps. They'll only give you 1010 lumens. Yeah, that's the only problem with them. I mean, you'll get all these ones on eBay saying that they're this 1000 lumens, that 1000 lumens, but in a sense it's not true. It's only going by the driver, which you've actually got on the back of your box, which actually goes on the back of your head. That's all being driven by that. And now I've got Chris having a nightmare now. That's what you're doing? Right, apparently Chris has watched me, so he's now going to have a little schmoolie and have a go. Evening, Nathan, alright? Just make sure I've got my lights all ready for next week, son. That's what I'm doing. I even had to put my Mickey Mouse glasses on for doing this. But that is, as I say, how you make a rod light, headlight, convert it over for 6 volt. As you know yourself, the batteries sometimes last a long time. What you'll also notice with these, you get 2 batteries in these. If you take one out, you're going to have to need one, because I only run on 3.7 volts anyway. So all you're doing is drawing from both batteries at one time, and all that does from that is double the amp power. That's all that does. Makes no difference. You just use one battery. But if you can see the size difference of that one battery to this one battery, I wonder which one's going to last longest and never let me down. That's the art of it. Right, if there is any questions, you're more than welcome to PM me or put it on the end of the video, and obviously I'll answer them, or I'll try and answer them as good as I can. But for that, we're now finished. Thanks ever so much for watching. You take care. Tight lines. I could do with one, but we'll have to wait till fun's built. Hold your thoughts on that one for a little while, Nathan, alright? Play that one by ear, alright, bud? Right, you all take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.